Have you ever told a lie? Today? Not a big one, just a tiny one. I'm almost there. I'm fine. I read the terms and conditions. Most of us lie without even thinking about it. In fact, the average person tells multiple small lies every single day. Some are selfish, some are harmless, and some keep the people we love from getting hurt. But what if tomorrow morning lying simply stopped existing? Not because people became honest, because the human brain physically lost the ability to lie. You could still think a lie, you could still want to tell one, but the moment you opened your mouth, only the truth would come out. No exceptions. A child, a judge, a billionaire, a president, or you. At first, that sounds incredible. No scams, no corruption, no hidden agendas. For the first time in history, everyone would know exactly what everyone else was thinking. Paradise, right? Then answer this. If your best friend looked you in the eyes and asked, "What do you honestly think of me?" would you answer? If your mother asked, "Am I a good parent?" would you tell her the complete truth? Suddenly, world without lies doesn't feel so perfect anymore. Because the truth has something a lie never had. It has consequences. And some truths heal people, others destroy them. And if every human on earth became incapable of lying for just one single day, the greatest disaster in history wouldn't begin with violence. It would begin with a conversation. And by the time the sun set, the world would never be the same again. At first, nothing looked different. The streets were still full, coffee shops were still open, people still smiled at each other. For a moment, it almost seemed like the warning had been wrong. Then, the first phone call happened. "Mom, do you like the gift I bought you?" There was a long silence. "Not really, but I never wanted to hurt your feelings." The line went dead. Across the city, a teacher asked her students, "Who wrote on the classroom wall?" Usually, no one would admit it. This time, 5 hands went up. In a hospital, a patient looked at his doctor. "Am I going to be okay?" The doctor tried to give the usual reassuring answer, but he couldn't. "I honestly don't know." For the first time, hope couldn't hide behind comforting words. Restaurants became awkward. Families stopped talking. Friends suddenly realized how many conversations depended on tiny lies. "Your haircut looks great. I'm happy for you. Don't worry, everything will be okay." Those sentences simply disappeared. Then, someone asked a question that no one had dared to ask before. "Do you actually trust me?" The answer came instantly. No, not because they wanted to be cruel. Because, for the first time in human history, the truth had become unavoidable. And that was only the first hour. The next few hours would change the world forever. By noon, the world had changed. Not because people became violent, but because trust began to disappear. Television anchors could no longer read carefully written scripts. One anchor looked directly into the camera and admitted, "We don't always know the full truth before reporting the news." Millions watched in stunned silence. Political speeches were canceled. Press conferences ended within minutes. Questions that had been avoided for years suddenly had real answers. Not because leaders wanted to tell the truth, but because they had no choice. Then, the internet exploded. Influencers admitted they didn't use the products they promoted. Online reviews became brutally honest. Companies confessed that some advertisements were exaggerated. Stock prices began to swing wildly as confidence disappeared. Banks received thousands of phone calls. "Is my money completely safe?" For the first time, employees answered honestly. "No financial system is completely risk-free." Those words spread across social media in minutes. Panic followed, but the biggest shock wasn't happening in governments or businesses. It was happening inside ordinary homes. Children asked questions their parents had avoided for years. Couples had conversations they'd been postponing for months. Friends discovered what they truly meant to each other. Some relationships became stronger. Many ended forever because humanity was learning a painful truth. Lies don't only create deception. Sometimes, they hold fragile relationships together. And the day was only half over. As the day went on, something unexpected happened. People stopped asking questions. not because they had nothing left to say, but because they were afraid of the answers. A father walked into his daughter's room. She smiled and asked, "Dad, are you proud of me?" He wanted to say more than anything, but the truth came first. "I love you with all my heart, but I wish I had spent more time with you while you were growing up." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she hugged him, not because the truth was painless, but because it was real. Across the world, some relationships were falling apart. Others were becoming stronger than ever. The people who had built their lives on deception were losing everything, but those who had hidden their feelings out of fear were finally saying the words they'd carried for years. "I miss you. I'm sorry. I should have called. I've always loved you." Words that should have been spoken long ago finally found their way into the world. As midnight approached, people began counting down the seconds, not because they wanted more truth, but because they desperately wanted their lies back. Then the clock struck 12, and just like that, the ability to lie returned. The world breathed a sigh of relief, but something had changed forever, because once you've heard the complete truth, you can never pretend you didn't. So what did humanity learn? Maybe lies aren't simply the opposite of truth. Maybe they're the thin layer that keeps millions of imperfect people living together. And maybe the real question was never, what if nobody could lie for one day? It was, could humanity survive complete honesty? If you've ever softened the truth to protect someone, subscribe. Mind Atlas breaks down the psychology behind why your mind works the way it does.